Don't buy a new camera, do this instead. If someone handed you a blank check for $3,000 or $5,000 and gave you two options. Option one is you can buy your dream camera, whatever it costs, fully paid, but you can only shoot photos where you currently are, in your city, in your backyard. You can't shoot photos anywhere else. Or option two, you can use that money to travel anywhere in the world to your dream destination to shoot that photo that you've always wanted to take, but you have to use the camera that you currently have, whether that's your smartphone or your old DSLR. Think about that, and I'm gonna tell you which one I would choose at the end of the video. I kid you not, the mailman dropped off 5 packages today. So we're gonna unbox them as I share 5 things that I would do instead of buying a new camera to improve the quality of your photos. And some of these I know what they are, but the others I literally have no idea. So this is gonna be fun, and we're gonna find out together. The first is investing in gear that you can use with any camera or any lens. The challenge is that a lot of the times we like to upgrade or change the lenses or switch to another system. And if you're always investing in the latest camera body and the latest lenses, then you're not necessarily thinking about the things that you're gonna be keeping for the next 5 years or the next 10 years as you grow and learn more and improve your photography skills. I don't know if this quite applies, but a hard drive, for example, is something that you always need, that regardless of what camera you're shooting on, is something that you're gonna need to store your photos. Or lens filters, or tripods, for example. One of the oldest tripods that I have, I think is over 10 years old. And I've used it to shoot real estate. I've used it to shoot weddings. I've used it to shoot, I'm actually using that tripod right now. It's the tripod that I've had for forever. It's a Manfrotto tripod, but every so often I'll pick up something new that I think will be something that will last me quite a while. And you know, this tripod is an example of that. I will say it's very beefy, a lot beefier than I expected. But having new gear can only take you so far if you don't know how to use that gear. For example, in my last video, I talked about getting sharper photos and techniques that you can implement without needing any new camera gear. And if you want to watch that video, I'll actually link it at the end of this video. Good lighting. I've done a few videos on different lighting techniques using artificial lighting, like if you have just a single point light, how you can use it. I think we have a backpack. And I've done a video on how I set up this lighting. So for example, right now you saw me set up those lights in the background as like an edge light and a background light. I've got the main kind of key light with the softbox, and then I've got some practical lights in the background just to increase the perceived quality of my videos. But if you don't want to use artificial lights, of course you can use natural light. And the key with natural light is just paying attention to where the sun is coming from, or if it's an overcast day, kind of looking at where that soft shadow is. Whenever I'm out shooting with Stefano or Will or Rich, that's typically what we'll do. I'll tell them, oh, make sure you're looking over to the light, or do I need to flip around? Are we trying to get backlighting, or what type of effect are we going for? Got a whole bunch of lens filters here. Okay, that's a variable ND. This is a whole kit of ND filters. I think these ones are fixed ND filters. But one of the filters I often use when I'm shooting outdoors is a circular polarizer. And if you've seen any of the shorts where I've talked about circular polarizers, it's one filter that allows you to cut out reflections or increase the saturation inside your landscape photos. But more on that in an upcoming video. If there's ever a term you hear me talk about, like shutter or aperture or artificial lighting or color temperature, and you're not sure what it is, it might actually be time to invest in some education. Meaning that you'll actually get way more out of your camera and your gear when you know how to use it. And education may be as simple as just searching up a YouTube tutorial. But that type of stuff can lead to you being able to take even better photos. Like one of the things that I definitely did not pay attention to when I had my first or even my second camera was the metering shooting modes. When you throw your camera into auto, there's different ways for it to figure out the exposure. There's like spot metering and evaluative metering. And when you first pick up your camera, it can seem a little bit confusing. There's also the option of buying a course. In addition to a course, you could also buy presets, for example. And I know Lightroom presets are kind of frowned upon because, one preset will not work on every single photo, but presets are a great way to learn about how other photographers edit their photos. One of the things that I'm working on for my own education is a preset pack that's based more around portraits and around skin tones. So the next set of presets I'm releasing will probably be more fine-tuned to work with human subjects. Going back really quick to the whole idea of investing in gear that will last longer than a camera or a lens. This, for example, is an ND filter system. And I've talked about variable ND filters in the past, and a lot of you had questions about fixed ND filters. And this one here is an example of that, which would be something that regardless of what camera system you're shooting on, you can put it on the front of your camera and take really great landscape photos. And then of course, there's the whole question of when are you actually taking photos? Like, do you actually make time to go out and shoot with all the gear that you've bought? Like, so often it can be tempting to get caught up in the latest Mini 4 drone or the latest A7 Canon R6 Mark V, whatever it is, that we actually forget to go out and shoot with the gear that we have. And camera bags are obviously really good for that. Back to that question I asked you at the beginning. If you had a choice between getting the camera of your dreams, but you can only ever shoot in one location, versus you can shoot anywhere you want, but you have to use the camera that you have. Now, for some of you, that's gonna be an obvious choice because you already have a really nice camera. But even if you only have a Rebel camera or a Sony crop sensor or a Fuji or like some old camera, and that's the only thing you have access to, or you only have access to your phone. Now, I've done a few comparisons in the past where I've shot a photo on my smartphone and on my R5, put them side by side, and I was actually able to fool quite a few people. Now, that's of course in ideal shooting scenarios where the lighting is good and I'm shooting on wide angle on both of these cameras, so it's a little bit harder to tell compared to if you were shooting with a more telephoto lens. But the number one thing I would do right now, instead of buying a new camera, instead of buying new gear, go out, shoot with the camera that you have, go to a destination, even if it's just traveling on a weekend in your car and spending, $100 in gas and food to get to somewhere to take those photos that you really want to take. Which is why in the next few weeks, you'll see we're gonna be out shooting some fall photography, some fall landscapes, probably some early mornings in there and some late evenings. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to know right now how to take sharper photos with the gear that you have, you can check out this video right here. And until the next one, go shoot photos.